Professor of School of Humanities and Social Sciences, Institute for Advanced Education and Research in Nagoya City University in Japan. He will deliver his lecture on ensuring healthy lives, access to healthcare among Filipino women in Aichi Prefecture in Japan. So let's welcome Professor Reginald D. Salong.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Tanya Manila. Well, I'm also a Tomasian, so I graduated from the Faculty of Pharmacy of University of San Tomas. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
It's my first time to do this one, so I'm a bit anxious now. Anyway, so today my presentation is on ensuring healthy lives, access to healthcare among Filipino women in Aichi Prefecture, Japan. So before I continue, I think I would like to ask you these questions. So, kamusta? I'm from Pampanga, so we usually ask when we see each other, kamusta ka, Jo? How are you? And okay, just how do you answer the question?
Good.
What comes into your mind first when you answer this question? So through my presentations, maybe after the presentation, we can answer the question better. Well, me, physically, I think my lower back hurts a little bit from exercise and cycling going from my place to work.
Hello from city.
All right. Anyways, so for my presentation today, I will talk about first, sustainable goal number 3. Food health and well-being. Maybe some of the presenters already talked about this one. And then I will go to our research, the access to healthcare among Filipino women in Aichi Prefecture, Japan. And I will mention some research topics aligned to ensure healthy lives and promote well-being set by the United Nations Development Program, known as the Sustainable Goals or the Global Goals, particularly number 3. Continue now. So let's define first health as described by WHO in 1948. So health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and merely the absence of disease or infirmity. We all know that definition. And in 1986, WHO released another definition of what we call health. This time, they defined health as the resource of everyday life, not the objective of living, of a positive concept emphasizing social and personal resources as well as physical capacities. So now maybe you're changing the definition or the answer to my questions a while ago. So when we talk about types of health, what types of health comes into your mind first?
Mental health, physical, mental, spiritual health.
Nag-freeze ba?
Nag-freeze?
Yeah.
Hello?
Ay, nag-freeze. Hello.
Nag-freeze.
Oh no, what have we done? Okay. No, I think it's
Ulit kaya.
Ulit.
polio. Okay.
Nalubat siya.
I think I was disconnected. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Kumuha po si Reggie ngayon.
So going back, so
Yun lang napansin.
is it clear now?
Yes.
Baka narinig kayo.
Okay, to answer my question, what comes into your mind when I ask what are the types of health?
Mental
health,
physical, biological.
One at
It's
a
so
time.
surprising that it was my first time to talk about this one in the La Salle in February. And when I asked them what kind of health that comes into their mind first when they're being asked what types of health, most Filipinos, they answer mental health. Quite surprising because based on the definition, we will of course, we will think first of the physical health. Am I correct?
Yes.
Right? And then after that, the second definition talks more about physical health and mental health. And as we grow older, we have the other subtypes of health. Maybe you will agree with me. For example, we are religious people, I expect, and we have this kind of what we call spiritual health. Do you agree? And then we also have what we call emotional health. The moment you feel heartbroken, pag nag-iwalay kayo ng boyfriend or ng girlfriend mo, then you have the emotional health. And then when you start working, you will start experiencing financial health. Like me, okay? Anyone who is financially unhealthy right now in the group? Ako, yeah. Whenever I get my salary, I call it salami salary. I count it out and then we distribute, including sending money to the Philippines. Anyways, let's continue. Okay, so what are the factors for good health? There are many factors, but we can simply put them into three. So one is the social and economic environment. Okay, so my environment here is quite different from what we have back there in Manila or in the Philippines. And then also the physical environment where we live, like if you live in Manila or compared to your environment when you're living in the countryside. And also our person's characteristics and behavior, which is influenced by culture and religion, right? And also characteristics, like we can't do anything about it. For example, it's genetics, you know, those kind of familial diseases. Okay, so maybe you've heard about these goals that were set by United Nations Development Goals. So they started setting goals in year 2000 and they were named as Millennium Development Goals. Everyone familiar with the goals?
Yes.
In 2000, okay. So it was set into year 2000 and they had 8 goals and then they targeted it to attain the goals within 15 years. So in September 2015, this a big review, they realized the 3 pillars of sustainable development. One is economic growth, okay? And number 2 is the social progress, and the last one is environmental protection. Through these pillars, now they have developed new set of goals and they named them sustainable development goals. Now we have 17 goals, and when we talk about health, it's in number 3, good health and well-being, to ensure healthy lives for all at all ages. Okay, where is health in the SDG era? Actually, health is interconnected with all other goals. Okay? To ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages is one of the principles of the United Nations Development Program in realizing the 17 global goals. Let's take a look at the interconnections of health with other global goals, particularly environment. Okay? For example, its connection with goal number 6, okay, preventing diseases through safe and sanitation for all. Goal number 7, promoting sustainable energy for healthy homes and lives. With goal number 11, fostering healthier cities through urban planning for cleaner air and safer and more active living. With goal number 13, protecting health from climate risk and promoting health through low carbon development. With goal number 14, supporting the restoration of fish stocks to improve safe and diversified healthy diets. And goal number 15, promoting health and preventing diseases through healthy natural environments. Now let me proceed to the second part of my presentation, which is our actual research, the access to healthcare among Filipino women in Aichi Prefecture, Japan. Have you been to Japan?
Yes.
Heard of Aichi Prefecture?
No.
Okay, Aichi Prefecture is where you can come to Toyota and Nagoya. So Nagoya and Toyota are neighboring cities in Aichi Prefecture. So it's located central Japan. Okay, so if you're traveling inbound to Tokyo and you're going to Osaka, most probably you will pass by our central station, the Nagoya station, going to Osaka. Okay, it's not that popular for most tourists, but it's popular for migrants because we have work here, like industry and factory. including Toyota and its subsidiaries. Okay, let's talk about the vulnerable groups in the international community. Okay, so whenever you search about the vulnerable groups through WHO, you will always see women and girls, and then now you will also see migrant workers or the migrants, including the children. Okay, so migrant workers, their vulnerability is influenced by their society, the culture, and history of their host country. Okay. So comparing the Japan to Philippines, we can all tell that it's it's really different what we have and what we have here. So why Filipino women? Okay, now I will talk about the population of migrant workers or Filipinos here in Japan. Okay, so in year 2018, we have more than 2 million foreign nationals registered in Japan. Aichi Prefecture holds the second largest number of foreign residents among 47 prefectures in Japan after Tokyo. So prefectures are the provinces. As you can see in the graph, compared to Tokyo in 2017, we have more Filipinos in Aichi. So the residential status of the foreign residents is believed to affect their economic situation and health as well. So recently, maybe you've heard of skilled workers allowed to work here in Japan. It used to be a contract of 3 years, but now from April 1st, they extended it to 5 years. Okay, so those group of people are known to be exposed, okay, to this kind of working conditions. We call it here the 3K. Okay? We have the kitsui, we call it demanding, kitanai, also known as dirty, and kiken, that means dangerous. Okay, so because of this situation, then we realize that if we have to look into the situations of these migrant workers. For this research, we focus on women. Why women? When we are talking about self-care and behavior of women, okay, it's influenced by social demographic characteristics such as their age, okay, then of course their gender as women, and then economic situation and also educational level. So women have limited access to various kinds of resources as well as limited ability and opportunity to maintain their own health. The aim of our study were to investigate associations between access to health care and social support among Filipino women living in Aichi Prefecture, Japan. Our study methods, so I will talk about the study design and setting, participant inclusion criteria, the questionnaire, data collection, and data analysis. And finally, I will also mention the ethical considerations. So the study design and setting. So it's a cross-sectional study design. So we did it in 15 out of 70 Catholic churches and at one Filipino festival in Aichi Prefecture. Participant inclusion criteria. The Filipino women, 20-year-old or over on the survey day. For the questionnaire, it was consists of 3 parts, both in English and Filipino. It was developed in English first and then translated to Filipino. Then the translated version was then back translated. For the 3 parts questionnaire, so it includes social demographic characteristics, questions, access to healthcare indicators, and social support. So for the social demographic characteristics, we ask about their age, their marital status, nationality, their educational level, years of living in Japan, proficiency level in Japanese, their number of children, residential status, insurance coverage, and type of health insurance. So I will choose some parts and show it to you. One important question is about Japanese proficiency. So this one is for reading. So we ask them, which one of the following would you say best describes your Japanese reading skill? Okay? So, in Filipino, so we ask them, alin sa tingin mo ang pinakamalapit na naglalarawan na abilidad mo magbasa ng wika kapon. So they have, so they have 7 choices and they were asked to choose which one is the best. And then the other one is their proficiency. Okay, so which one of the following would you say best describes your Japanese oral communication skill? Okay, same to the reading skill. They have 7 options, okay, to choose for their answer. For the status in Japanese proficiency, so I think it's quite small, visual. Okay, so we asked them if are they a student or a yugapse. If they are international service, like for example, English or Philippine language teacher. If they are technical intern training, this is the one that has been increasing in number. And then if they are designated, they're doing designated activities. Okay, for example, they are a nurse or certified caregiver under the EPA program. So if they are permanent or long-term resident, if they have spouse or child of Japanese nationals or permanent resident, then they are, we accept the answer if they don't want to share. And then for the type of insurance, so in Japan we have 4 major types of universal healthcare coverage. Okay, we have number 1, we have the National Health Insurance. And then we have also the Japanese Insurance Association. And we have the Society Managed Employment Insurance. Okay, if you are employed, then you get that insurance. And then the last one is the Health Insurance of Mutual Aid Association. Next, for the access to healthcare indicator, so we asked these 5 questions to the participants. So first, have you ever taken your youngest or only child to a public health center for his or her health checkup? Do you have a healthcare provider who you can ask for advice on your own health? Do you have a healthcare provider who you can ask for advice on your child's health? Was there a time in the previous 12 months when you felt you needed healthcare, but you just did it? Was there a time in the previous 12 months when your youngest child needed healthcare, but you not did it? And the last part, the social support. Okay, for this one, we used the established social support survey. It's the Medical Outcomes Study Social Support Survey, or the MOSSSS. So it consists of 19 questions. Okay, so from emotional to informational and tangible support, social support, and the others. Is it too small?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you read it? Maybe I can read some of the questions that this kind of survey. So we have number 1, someone to help you if you are confined to bed. Next, someone you can count on to listen to you when you need to talk. Someone to give you good advice about a crisis. Someone to take you to the doctor if you need it. Someone who shows you love and affection. Is there someone to have a good time with? Someone to give you information to help you understand a situation. Someone to confide in or talk to about yourself or your problem. Someone who hugs you. Someone to get together with for relaxation. So the next part, I decided to show you the questionnaire in Filipino or Tagalog. So number 11 is mayroong taong ipagluluto ka kung sakaling hindi mo kaya. May taong talagang kinakailangan mo ang payo. May makakasama kang gumawa ng mga bagay na makakatulong sa mga nag-iisip. May tumutulong sa iyo sa mga pang-araw-araw na tabating kung ikaw ay nagsakit. May masasagutan ka ng iyong pinakapribadong alalahanin at pinakatakutan. may ingat ka ng payo kung paano harapin ang mga personal na problema. May makakasama ka sa mga masasayang gawain. Mayroong nakakaintindi sa iyong mga problema. May minamahal ka at nangangailangan sa iyo. So it's a Likert scale from 1 to 5. So we ask them to choose from, in English, like 1 is none of the time, a little of the time is number 2, 3 some of the time, or most of the time. Number 5 is all of the time. For our data collection, so the self-administered questionnaires was distributed at the study location, 15 churches plus 1 Filipino festival event. And the questionnaire was returned anonymously, so we have a box prepared, or they can send us by CMA. For the data analysis, so for the socioeconomic characteristics, access to healthcare, and 3 types of social support, we summarized them, and we did bivariate analysis between each of the access indicators, social support scores, and social demographic characteristics. And we also did multivariate analysis for the associations between access to healthcare and emotional, informational, social support. For ethical considerations, the School of Nursing, they have ethical committee. It was reviewed and approved by the Research Ethics Committee of the Graduate School of Nursing, Nagoya City University. Participation was completely voluntary and anonymous. And we have the written information was attached to the questionnaire. And this written information served as a consent. It was considered to have been obtained when the questionnaire was returned. So let's take a look at the summary now of our participants. For the age, you are qualified if you are 20 on the survey day. Okay, so most of them are from age 20 to equally distributed, more than 20%. For the marital status, so more than 2/3 of our participants were married, and you will observe that married to a non-Japanese and Japanese, they have almost the same number of participants. And then the good thing that most Filipino women in here, like around 70%, attained tertiary level or finished college education. Then another thing to consider is your proficiency in Japanese, their reading proficiency. So most of them, it's a self-assessed question. So most of them said that they have poor or standard proficiency in reading, and similar observation with their communication skills. Most of them rated themselves as poor or standard when it comes to oral communication. Next, for the descriptive analysis of perceived access to healthcare, the one that got our attention is question number 2. Do you have a healthcare provider whom you can ask for advice on your own health? So surprisingly, participants who said they do not have was 33%. And also for the third question, do you have a healthcare provider who you can ask for advice on your child's health? A 21% answered that they do not have. Okay, for the social support scores, so we divided the scores into 4. So we have the low score, medium low, medium high, and high. Both for 3 types of social support, for emotional and informational support, the tangible support, and the rest, the remaining, were considered as the overall support. Okay, so when we did the analysis between the factors associated with no regular healthcare providers for women and their children, so we have observed that if the emotional and informational support, okay, so if So the higher emotional informational support, there's less chance for them not to have a regular healthcare provider. Okay, similar observations we have when if the Filipino is married to a Japanese. For the conclusion, so we found out that women with more emotional and informational support from Japanese husband were less likely not to have a regular healthcare provider. So as a result, providing information about available resources is helpful for Filipino women with little social and without Japanese husband to maintain their health here in Aichi Prefecture, Japan. So now I'll move on to the last part. Maybe you will have the access to this topic, the research topics to ensure healthy lives and promote well-being. So it's available on the website of Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations or UNESCO. So we have set 13 targets for this particular goal number 3. Okay, so some of them were, if you would like to look into global maternal mortality, okay, or prevention and treatment of substance abuse, including narcotic drug abuse and harmful use of alcohol, okay, also the epidemics of AIDS, tuberculosis, malaria, and neglected tropical diseases. You can also talk about in developing countries when it comes to universal healthcare coverage. I think that's one of the main objectives of this seminar. And we also have, you can look into the health workforce in developing countries or even the developed countries like here in Japan. For the summary of today's presentation, so one of the pillars in achieving sustainable development is the social progress. The state should make sure that its people receive their basic human rights, and that includes health. In Aichi Prefecture, Japan, women with more emotional and informational support from Japanese husband were less likely to have a regular healthcare provider. The UNDP set 13 goals or 13 targets for goal number 3, which is good health and well-being. And by supporting and implementing projects aligned with these targets, we can bring vulnerable individual groups and communities from the peripheries to the core of sustainable development. So maybe after the presentation, now you can ask yourself, and you can answer it better, the question, "Kamusta ka?" or "Genki desu ka?" The current status of our research, so we are currently writing a manuscript based on the results of the results. And we are looking into informational support for all migrant workers here in Aichi Prefecture. And also we are getting data from NPO, an NPO that provides medical support research. And so they travel by bus, and then they give free medical consultation. And then also we are expanding our research to Filipino women from other prefectures here in Japan, also for Filipino men. And we are covering the trainee visa holders as well, because based on our results, the participants were mostly long-term residents here in Aichi, Japan. And also we are targeting the women of other nationalities. And then the ward office, where most migrant workers have been living, asked us to conduct a research on communicable diseases affecting migrants in Nagoya, and that includes tuberculosis. And we have good news that we got funding from the government for a 4-year project, so beginning this year, so that's 4 years until 2023. Okay, so as health experts, I think I want to challenge everyone to incorporate in our education about good health and well-being, because they are really interrelated. So in Asian Declaration, it states that quality education develops the skills and attitudes that enable citizens to live healthy and fulfilled lives, make informed decisions, and respond to local and global challenges. Other than teaching and research, I also encourage everyone to do their part. Like in my case, I do volunteer work for homeless people here in Nagoya, downtown of Nagoya. And the one that I am supporting is called the Sasashima Support Center. So they are bridging the homeless people to the government, and they provide health and daily life consultation. So we do it weekly in downtown, and we try to, help these people and make them feel that through these organizations that they can receive their rights provided and set by the government. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something from what we are doing here in Nagoya City University.
Sir Jay, can you ask? Hirap yung po for question and answer. We're now open for question and answer.
Yes, sure.
From the group.
So this 4-year project, hi Reggie.
Hi, Zachary.
Yeah, that's me. So I'm gonna do this. Alright, there. Okay. Hi. So this 4-year project, because
Yes.
they're budding social health researcher, maybe you can inform them how to possibly win grants like this. What do what do funding agencies look for?
Well, in Japan, actually, it was quite sensitive because we are talking about migrant workers in here, because we are inviting skilled workers, like factory workers, to come and consider Japan. And then we are looking into the government support when it comes to their health. Okay, I think migrant health is one of the, people moves. And it depends on the country or their host country, depends what kind of healthcare support that they have. So I think one factor is that. Okay, another factor, I think, when I visited the United Nations in Malaysia, they did a simple study, like in an education, like in a school, like maybe you've done it in University of Santo Tomas, like obesity of the students.
Yeah.
Like what the cafeteria provides and the population of, those kind of basic research, they get funded.
Okay.
Because it says a lot. Because nowadays, non-communicable diseases is the #1 leading cause of death.
Okay.
So they do that as well. And another thing is migrant workers. Yeah, of course, this popular, in the Philippines, we have many indigenous people. And we expect that maybe they understand Filipino or English, but we know that they have their own language. Okay? That's why in our survey forms, when we distributed the questionnaire, so I made sure that it has Tagalog or Filipino version.
Right.
Okay? Because it says a lot to access to healthcare. Because language, as shown in our results, could be a barrier. And there's also study even in English-speaking countries, like for example Canada. Okay, so access to healthcare, they become more unhealthy when they travel or migrate to another country. I think that's what we are focusing on, and also the communicable diseases, like what they are asking us to do, like to check on the people with tuberculosis in our area. It was quite surprising. Okay, and up to now we are also looking on the women working in the entertainment business. Okay, because some of them are not familiar when it comes to access to healthcare. They don't pay their contributions to insurance, and then they are left paying 100%, and it's quite expensive when you pay 100% your hospitalization here in Japan. So that's what we are looking into. Okay, and also we are mostly we are looking on to migrant workers' health, access here in Japan. I hope I was able to answer your question.
Some of them are going to try to apply for Japanese grants. Let's say, what's that? Yes, the grant body.
One popular is Sumitomo.
Yes, exactly. It's just missing me right now.
Yeah, and also maybe you can try to look at JSPS.
Right. Okay.
So the granting aid by the Japanese government.
They're taking notes.
Yeah, and also like we can do collaboration. Like if you have something in mind, and then we can collaborate. Like the same proposal can be submitted here, and the same that same proposal you can submit it to DOST because they have an agreement.
Right.
Okay, that grant has an agreement with our government, the DOST.
Okay.
So you can look into that. But of course, like DOST also provides grants for social science research, but not as much as STEM research.
Yes, exactly.
But still, it's good. Yeah. But one generous is Sumitomo. I heard
Right.
they are supporting how do you call that, social science research. And also maybe you can look on Toyota Foundation as well. So those are the ones popular here in Japan. Okay, the generous
There's
grants.
funds. Right. Do we have other questions? None? You're still processing the data? Yes? Yes. So, if you have, are you sure you have no other question? Because we're, in any case? Right.
One thing I've noticed
Introduce yourself.
sorry, I'm Michael, also from Pampanga.
Hi Michael, kamusta Jo? I hope your family is safe.
Yes. They're safe naman, okay naman. Ngayon, konti na lang ang tremors. Anyway, when I went in Japan, late last year, I've noticed that hospital access among Japanese, they're very much open. For example, kahit walang bantay, kunwari ako lang, magpapa-hospital, ako magpapa-admit ako. They're very much open about it.
It's a culture that we don't
Yeah.
need someone to accompany us in the hospital. It's not allowed actually.
So, baka, were you able to look into that among the Filipino women? Especially, syempre, dito sa Philippines, sanay tayo
Na may bantay.
na may bantay. Kung hindi man isa, halos yung buong pamilya nandoon.
Well, I think that could affect these emotional support, right? And I understand your comment, and in our study, it wasn't included for our qualitative questions. Maybe we can look into that in the near future for our next projects. Or maybe you can do an interview, qualitative, report, interviewing people
Okay.
here in Japan about that difference in culture when it comes to
So I can get a visa, di ba? It's by invitation. I mean, you need a sponsor there to go.
For sure it affects, mental health. Having someone there looking after you. So we are just allowed to be there during visiting hours, and then after that, we can, even in a private room,
Yeah.
you are not allowed to have someone
Yeah.
there bedside.
I even saw someone buying her own supplies. So may dala
Yes.
siyang IV, nagpupunta siya dun sa grocery sa baba ng hospital, buying her
Yes,
snacks,
in our
etc.
stores.
Yeah.
Very dependent.
Yeah. The only good thing about access to healthcare here, based on my experience, is that as long as you have proper registration and you have the proper insurance, because all your data are there, even on a weekend, even the cashier is closed, you can leave the hospital. Yeah, you can leave the hospital and then you can just pay after.
Okay. Kasi they have a record.
Yeah. Pwedeng mangutang. Kasi hindi ka makakatakas.
Sir, I have a
Yes.
question. I am a frontline
Sure.
health worker in Samar. I am a municipal health officer. I have a question. I'm just curious if the women in Japan, the Filipino women in Japan, are able to access PhilHealth.
Can you repeat that?
Are your clients or were your clients able to avail of the PhilHealth reimbursements
Package
package?
for OFW.
Yeah, for OFW. PhilHealth, Philippine Health Insurance Corporation.
I know PhilHealth, but most of them, I think they have both. That they're paying the minimum
Well, I'm asking about
required-
availment. Like availment of the package. Like they were able to get reimbursements. They were paid back by PhilHealth.
I am not sure about that, but if we have insurance here and then we got we get hospitalized in the Philippines, we can get an official receipt and then we can refund it back home here.
They
Japan.
can
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I am not sure because I think if you're a resident, then I don't know if I'm not familiar with the PhilHealth system. So I don't know if they do the same thing. Because here in Japan, even though you are outside whatever country, as long as you have hospital certificate and receipt, and then they can compute based on the exchange rate, then they can refund you the amount that you spent.
Hi Reggie again.
Yes.
I think one thing that she's also asking is whether the Filipino the OFW rather,
Yes.
were they able to access PhilHealth while working there in Japan?
You can voluntarily pay.
But when
But
they get
claim.
sick, when they get sick,
Well, no, if you're an OFW, if your visa is more than 3 months, you have to get the government insurance here in
that makes sense. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. PhilHealth doesn't work here, I guess. Yeah, if you're trying to say that maybe PhilHealth would work, then you have to pay 100% first, and then you try the reimbursement. But if your visa is more than 3 months, the government requires you to get your health insurance,
From the country.
the national health insurance, equivalent to PhilHealth.
Right.
Well, I've been working, with the PhilHealth, and they're telling me that, they have efforts. PhilHealth are actually doing some advocacies for OFWs, for them to be aware of their benefits as PhilHealth members, that they could avail reimbursements for hospitalizations as well. So
That's a
you
new
did
information
not-
to me because
you did not
I've been a
encounter that.
volunteer contributor. I pay my PhilHealth whenever I get home yearly, so that when I get sick, I can use both my PhilHealth there in the Philippines and my insurance here in Japan. So I would look into that, and maybe that's
Maybe
one
that's not that
information that we can share.
That's a new
for
research
Filipinos
project.
here. Right?
Yeah.
In our seminar. Yeah.
All right.
So actually what we do after our research, because it's a community project, so after our research and we gather data, we set up a seminar and we invite people in our community to our seminar, and then we present to them the results of our research. I'm not sure if you do the same in UST, if you invite the community to listen to the results of your research. So we did it in February after my De La Salle trip. We organized a seminar mainly for the public, and then everyone is invited. It's an open seminar, and we talked about the research, the results of the research that we have done last year.
Okay. All right. We have last one question. If you can
Sure.
still take one. Okay.
Hi, sir.
Hi.
Hi. So I want to say that it's really an interesting study. So we're actually making, I'm doing a research that's quite similar, but it's more of the inclusion of like ultrasound screening for pregnant women in the PhilHealth package. So I'm interested if there are plans, because you've assessed the population in just one location, right?
Yes.
Yes. So I'm just wondering if you have plans to compare whether there are differences in the access to healthcare in like different settings in Japan where there are other.
protection.
So just to compare if there are differences.
Comparing the difference of what again?
Of access to healthcare
in
in
other settings
yeah.
in Japan.
In other
Just this is one
prefectures.
location.
I think we can do that, but we need budget to go. But the system in every government is different. For example, Nagoya or Aichi is quite rich prefecture because we have businesses here. So the coverage of our insurance is quite better as compared to other places. And then another thing, like if there are less migrant workers or less foreign residents in a community, the government do not exert effort in providing information, at least in English. So one research conducted by our team was the available information to foreign residents. And surprisingly, we have less, even in English, we have like selected communities only or health center. We have our barangay offices, we call it in the Philippines. Okay, we call them ward offices here. And every ward office, we have our health center. Okay, but we don't have our barangay clinics. But in every community, for sure, we have either a small or big hospital, and we have many clinics, okay, depending on your needs. So then you can use the universal healthcare coverage in all those clinics and hospitalization.
I was just curious because I'm wondering like how to like improve access to healthcare for other settings in Japan. But I see that maybe it could be a future study if possible. I mean, it may be a potential study to look into other settings as well.
I think so too, because one of our proposed project now is looking the differences on how like the town or the city is providing healthcare to all the people, especially the foreign residents here in Nagoya. So I think, yeah, that could be a good idea for future research.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Reggie, thank you so much for accommodating
You're
us.
welcome. I'm so sorry, I'm not used to this, but this is my first time. Thank you for the experience.
No, we are the one privileged to listen to your project, and we're so grateful that you gave us your time despite your busy schedule.
You're welcome.
This,
Yeah.
just to
As long as it's Friday.
So it's Friday. This is actually a group consisted of medical doctors, pharmacists, OT, nurses, and social scientists. So we're really trying to form a team here.
Maybe you can work together and come up with something that you can do migrant healthcare research here.
Yes,
And you can
exactly.
start with Nagoya, and we can be collaborators.
That is the plan, because this is a fellowship.
But I encourage to have funding
They are not aware.
because it's not, it's not cheap to come here and do
Right.
research. But then again, as collaborators, then we can help you in gathering data for for a particular research.
Right, right. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Reggie. All right, a
You're
round of
welcome.
applause for Professor Cordina.
I'll see you, RCSSED team and Karin and Jay and
Alright.
Ma'am Carol. I'll see you maybe in November. I'll be maybe in De La Salle or February.
Fantastic. We hope we can invite
Yes.
you here again.
I hope by that time we have our project.
Right, all right.
collaboration.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Oh, wow. Bye-bye. Okay.
Interesting na ma'am, na hindi niya na-mention ang PhilHealth. Siguro hindi nga siya significant doon. Pero entitled supposedly ang ang OFW.
Opo, baka yun nga kasi, dahil ang nagets ko po sa kanya is that if you've been there for 3 months, then
Mandatory.
it's mandatory. Why would you even fuss with PhilHealth kung
When you
sayang
have
ka naman?
your coverage already.